How's it going, you guys? So I just finished up with an amazing workout, high intensity interval training, heavy bag intervals, a little bit of long state steady cardio at the very end, and before that I hit a max squat session. And so in this video I want to talk a little bit about why polyunsaturated omega-6 fats and trans fats are harmful. Okay, so most people, they hear from gurus and they just repeat that omega-6 fats are inflammatory. Most people don't know the mechanism in which they act as an inflammatory agent, and that's harmful because if you don't understand the full mechanism, just avoiding polyunsaturated omega-6 fats and trans fats is actually not going to do you a whole lot of benefit. It will, but not as much as the rest of the picture here. Okay, so there are there's quite a few theories, but there's also some proven facts. So what are the facts involved in polyunsaturated omega-6 fats and why they're harmful? So first of all, you have to understand that in the body there's something called eicosanoids, okay? And so basically these are compounds that are built from fatty acids in the body. The main fatty acids that these are created from are arachidonic acid and DHA, okay? And to a certain extent, an EPA as well. So, real quick, a side note, the only essential fats that you need from your diet are arachidonic acid and DHA. Everything else is secondary. The reason why is because if you consume arachidonic acid, that can act as a precursor to create all the other essential fatty acids in the body. And if you eat DHA, which is found in algae or fish or grass-fed animals, DHA can actually retroconvert to EPA. Okay, so your body can create EPA from DHA, and it can create all the other essential fatty acids that you need from your diet from arachidonic acid as well, which is found in animal products. So there's that. But essentially, DHA and EPA are required to create anti-inflammatory eicosanoids, and I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. Basically, eicosanoids, they are essentially molecules in the body that that actually neutralize inflammation. Okay, they basically are your body's endogenous aspirin, if you will. And as far as I know, a lot of some anti-inflammatory drugs actually work directly on promoting these good eicosanoids. I believe aspirin works by that mechanism. Nonetheless, so omega-3, DHA, and EPA are precursors for anti-inflammatory compounds known as eicosanoids. And when you eat polyunsaturated omega-6 fats, okay, because keep in mind, EPA and DHA are polyunsaturated omega-3s, okay, whereas, some of the, like linoleic acid and some of these omega-6s you get from vegetable oils, they actually promote negative eicosanoids, so inflammatory eicosanoids, right? And the main reason why these things are bad is because these polyunsaturated omega-6 fats, first of all, it's a fact. It's factually proven that they prevent the conversion of ALA, alpha linoleic acid, from flaxseed oil and chia seeds and some of these plant foods. Even like soybean oil has a little bit of ALA in it. So these polyunsaturated omega-6 fats like linoleic acid and yada yada, they prevent the conversion of the plant form of omega-3s into EPA and DHA. So a lot of these vegans who think they're getting DHA and EPA in their diet from converting ALA from like flaxseed oil, they're barking up the wrong tree. And I've seen this being debated with people like Vegan Gains, and they're saying, show me the studies that vegans have omega-3 deficiencies, and that's just asking for something that's damn near impossible. It's been hard enough to create deficiencies in the diet of EPA and DHA, and develop a deficiency syndrome. It would be even harder to do the same with ALA consumption, and not to mention everybody's getting ALA in their diet. Okay, let's not, especially these unhealthy Americans who eat lots of soybean oils and vegetable oils indirectly from the fast foods that they're eating. So, and the margarines and things. And let's not forget, ever since we started to add these margarines, which, again, these vegetable oils are high in ALA, but the ratio of omega-6 polyunsaturated fats to the ALA, omega-3s, is in the favor of inflammatory eicosanoid compounds, okay? There's far more there's far more polyunsaturated omega-6 fats in these foods. But ever since we added these omega-6 fats and these margarines and trans fats that do have a lot of ALA, and it's probably the main source of omega-3 in most people's diets, ever since we added this into the food supply, heart disease has been increasing by a significant rate. And there seems to be a direct increase in rates of heart disease. And most chronic diseases, in fact, can follow the line of increases in omega-6 fat consumption. Correlation doesn't equal causation, but what I'm saying here is that's the main reason why they're bad, is because they hinder the conversion of ALA into the active form of omega-3 used to create these anti-inflammatory eicosanoid compounds, DHA and EPA. So you can eat all the ALA and plant-based omega-3 that you want, but you're not going to get the active form as long as that conversion is being hindered, okay? And some people do have genetic polymorphisms that make it harder for them to convert these ALA into the active form anyway. So that's the first one. That's factually proven, okay? The second thing is that so it seems like, okay, so there's some data to suggest that polyunsaturated omega-6 fats seem to actually decrease your body's ability to actually use these omega-3s, the EPA and DHA, to create these eicosanoids. So it seems to interfere with the metabolism and the process of actually creating anti-inflammatory eicosanoids. And the other thing is, it's possible that they also boost the inflammatory eicosanoids directly as well. So what we have here is interference with your body's ability to create these anti-inflammatory compounds. Okay, so omega-6 and omega-6 polyunsaturates and trans fats seem to directly interfere with our body's conversion into these active omega-3s, and it seems to interfere directly with your body's ability to actually use these active form of EPA and DHA, right, omega-3s, to actually create these anti-inflammatory compounds. And so there's a double whammy here of creating inflammatory compounds and preventing the body from creating anti-inflammatory compounds, okay? So, there's also some evidence to suggest that, especially in regards to not just trans fats, but hydrogenated oils. I'm sorry, I should have made that clarification before. Hydrogenated oils specifically, because CLA is a trans fat found in grass-fed animals, and there's a lot of evidence that suggests it is anti-inflammatory, seems to lower the risk of cancer and heart disease risk. So, and there's a lot of evidence on that side and things that we can talk about. But hydrogenated oils specifically, they are, man-made fats. They're unsaturated fats that are turned into a saturated fat, essentially. And these seem to be the ones that they seem to have direct effects on creating inflammation, specifically in the arteries, okay, in the blood vessels. And there are a lot of diseases that seem to be directly linked, directly correlated, okay, to these hydrogenated fats. So, overall, obviously, you know, if you remove polyunsaturated fats completely and you remove these hydrogenated oils, so you're going to most likely, you could probably bet you're going to be producing far less inflammatory compounds. However, it would make a lot of sense to also consume more EPA and DHA so that you can actually produce these anti-inflammatory eicosanoids, right? And you know, the big thing here, so for me, I recognize that nutrition research is extremely nuanced, and a lot of the testing that was put into place to determine nutrient deficiencies and recommended daily intakes and all this stuff, and what is an essential nutrient and what's not, is so shaky. Like the way that they create nutritional deficiencies in people to find out what a nutritional deficiency does, like, you know, eating nothing but triple boiled broccoli for like a whole month. Like, boy, you're going to be creating way more deficiencies than just like one nutrient when you do that. Or feeding someone isolated nutrients through a test tube. Or doing experiments on people in prison. Like, I mean, there were a lot of just weird ways that they do this. Or sailors that lived on like, you know, like rotten crackers and processed meat for like while they're sailing, and then they eat a citrus fruit. You know, there were also people who ate fresh reindeer meat and resolved scurvy. So anyway, point here is that it's very hard to determine, you know, cause and effect in nutrition research, especially in regards to recommended daily intake of nutrients and nutrient deficiencies. And I think a lot of people are like brainwashed by supplement salesmen to think that they need to be taking these multivitamins and B vitamins and all this to prevent deficiencies that you don't even know if you're going to actually have a deficiency, okay? Like even blood markers for these molecules in the blood. Okay, so I'm kind of going off on a tangent here, but what I'm getting at is it's not productive to look at this in terms of, do I have a deficiency in something? What I think is more effective is looking at clinical health outcomes in people who have a higher intake of a certain nutrient or a lower intake, or who supplement a nutrient. Like, for example, when we have intervention trials, do you have, like, what kind of benefits do people experience when they actually supplement with like fish oils, for example, or eat more fish? And so, in the clinical trials done on EPA and DHA, what we find is anywhere from 1 to 4 grams of combined EPA and DHA taken daily. It seems to have most noticeably antidepressant effects over time and benefits on cognition. And that's fascinating. So if not to treat a deficiency, it can be used almost as like a tonic or a pharmaceutical remedy to boost cognitive function, similar to the way that people use coffee. Only with fish oil and EPA DHA, we find like significant decreases in heart disease risk and all-cause mortality. Now, there are some studies that suggest otherwise. And there's some evidence that coffee does as well, but nonetheless, you don't have jitters or anything like that, not from fish oil. The point is, though, taking it more as a remedy rather than to prevent a deficiency of some kind that we can't clearly define. So with that being said, yeah, obviously limit your omega-6 polyunsaturates and consume more omega-3 EPA and DHA. And think about all of this in context, right? And keep that in mind when people tell you to get your omega-3s from flax oil. Question whether they've actually researched all this or not. Have a good day.